Human trafficking has been a huge topic lately in the news. Although it's been happening for a while, the human trafficking industry is quickly becoming the largest industry on the black market. Sex trafficking in particular is a cause that I'm very passionate about, and even though it's an overwhelming and complex issue, I'm still devoted to doing what I can to raise awareness about it. Here are some misconceptions about sex trafficking. We hear about it all of the time, and we see the warning posts on Facebook and Instagram. Quite frankly, a lot of these posts are fake. People love to sensationalize things on social media, and unfortunately, trafficking has become a popular buzzword. The many false stories I've seen on Facebook about trafficking are absolutely ridiculous. For some reason, people think just because a post has lots of shares and likes that it must be true. But y'all gotta start doing research. Don't get me wrong, sometimes traffickers will follow victims in the mall, at shopping centers, at the gas station, or just in the general public and then find a way to kidnap them. However, this isn't always the case. A trafficker doesn't always look like the boogeyman. Most of the time, they're just your average person. A trafficker or a pimp do not have a specific look. Rather than snatching you up and throwing you in a van, one popular tactic for traffickers is the fake interview. They'll set up fake job descriptions on websites like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and LinkedIn. They gain your information from your resume, typically look you up on Facebook and Instagram, and offer you a job interview. When you arrive at the interview, it's usually at a regular business office, but once you get inside, they'll try to kidnap you. When I lived in Atlanta, this was a huge issue. It's so important to Google companies before accepting a job interview. Also, don't be afraid to ask for the hiring manager's name or the person who will conduct the interview. Google them and look them up on LinkedIn or Facebook. If they're legit, you'll find information and they'll be linked to the company you have an interview with. Traffickers are also on dating websites. Additionally, traffickers are known to set up fake auditions or pose as a fake modeling agency. I have a friend that was scouted by traffickers to set up a fake dance competition in New York. Sex trafficking is a billion-dollar industry. They have several ways to get women and men. Uber and Lyft are also becoming huge trafficking schemes. Uber and Lyft are very beneficial and convenient, but please remember you're still trusting a stranger to drive you. Here's a few things to do if you decide to catch a ride. First of all, make sure you're in the right car by matching the tag number on the car to the tag number listed in the app. Secondly, make sure the person knows your name. You should never introduce yourself. Thirdly, make sure the child lock isn't on your door. Finally, when you initially get in the car, call someone and let them know where you're headed and your estimated time to get home. Then say something like, I'm sending you my Uber Lyft information so you can track me, and I'll call you when I make it home. This will let the driver know that someone is expecting to hear from you and that they're following your route. In the Lyft app, if you select Share Route, it will give you the option to send your location to a friend. They'll receive a text message with a link to your route and will be able to follow you. Always stay aware of the route your driver is going and make sure they stay on the main highways as much as possible. If for whatever reason the driver begins to drive a different direction, speak up and tell them they're going the wrong way. If they ignore you, prepare to get the hell out of that car, no questions asked. Please stay safe out here in these streets and stop believing every viral status shared through Facebook. The best way to spread awareness is to research valuable information based upon statistics and personal stories from survivors of sex trafficking. A lot of times, people believe that men are the only ones who traffic women, but that's not true. Women are used as recruiters. Typically, women trust other women more than a man, so that's one reason why traffickers use women to scout potential victims. A random woman might approach you and invite you to a church service or an event. If you're genuinely interested, get as much information as possible and follow your intuition. If it seems sketchy, just let it go. Another scheme is the super friendly chick at the bar or club. These schemes usually involve a woman approaching you and asking lots of questions, offering you drinks, and eventually asking you to hang out another time. Either they'll try to get you to hang out with them that night, or they'll ask for your IG name, Facebook name, phone number, and give all of that info to the trafficker or pimp they're working with. Stranger danger still exists no matter how old you are. I always say don't trust anyone, but that's just me. Now let's talk about this myth that trafficking only happens in other countries besides the US. People only assume that sex trafficking is associated with large cartels from Mexico, or is only an issue in Asian countries like Thailand, India, and Vietnam. I am not discrediting victims from other countries, but sex trafficking rings aren't just happening in the Czech Republic. Sex rings are formed everywhere in America. What is a sex ring? Simply put, it's a group of people who force other people, usually women, to have sex for money. California, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and New York are known to be huge hubs for sex trafficking. I know from personal experience that Atlanta is a very, very popular city for sex traffickers to scout victims. Atlanta is a city that's known for their sex industry. Strip clubs, escorting, and massages with happy endings are big business for folks in Atlanta. It's easy for women and men to get caught up and get preyed upon by a trafficker. I am not saying that all strippers and prostitutes are being trafficked. Although these are forms of sexual exploitation, a lot of women and men aren't being forced against their will. And that's the biggest difference between human trafficking and being an at-will sex worker. Also, let me add that people in high power or affluent positions can be a part of a sex trafficking ring. Some politicians, celebrities, and law enforcement have been charged with sex trafficking, so don't get it twisted. There is big money being made in the sex trafficking industry, and it's a huge problem right here in the United States. Most police do not take trafficking seriously. A lot of times, some police officers are even paid by traffickers to not investigate sex trafficking scenarios. If you believe that someone may be a victim of sex trafficking, or if you think sex trafficking may be occurring in a specific area, such as a hotel, abandoned warehouse, or a home, you need to contact the Human Trafficking Hotline. There is law enforcement and individuals who are specifically trained to handle sex trafficking situations. They are passionate advocates who will get in touch with the proper people to conduct a sting operation and investigate situations with the help of your tip. If you or another person is in an emergency situation, of course, call 911. But if you have a suspicion that people are involved with trafficking, or if you see strange activities at certain locations, please call the trafficking hotline so they can further investigate and actually do something about it. A lot of times, prostitutes or escorts begin having sex for money because they're homeless, broke, have to support a family, want money for drugs, or all of the above. However, prostitutes can easily fall into forced sex. A prostitute can go from willingly escorting and keeping all of their money to themselves to being forced by a trafficker to have sex and give all of the money to a pimp. How can this happen? Oftentimes, traffickers will promise to protect prostitutes because it can be very dangerous. Johns, people who pay for sex, can become violent, can rape prostitutes, and refuse to pay for sex. Traffickers will make sure these type of things don't happen because it's bad business. Traffickers will also offer a place to stay, give them gifts, and even pretend to be a boyfriend and become romantically involved with women just to trap them. Traffickers first appear as the good guy, but it changes quickly. Pimps are known to threaten prostitutes with violence and keep them doped up on drugs to force them to continue having sex for money. Sex trafficking victims are only considered commodity to traffickers. They profit 100%, and the victims are no longer in control over their lives. Sometimes traffickers are looking for a specific type of person. If they have high-profile clients such as celebrities, athletes, politicians, or just the average wealthy man, then they will scout women who these men desire. Sometimes traffickers prey after homeless people, runaway teens, or drug addicts. They'll groom women who are incarcerated and offer them a place to stay once they're free. However, most of the time, traffickers just need a functioning body. Women, men, teens, and children can fall victim of trafficking. The ultimate goal is to make money, so no one is exempt from being trafficked. This is why it's so important to always be aware of your surroundings, be mindful of who you date, be careful about going to random parties, and watch your drinks when you're at the bar or a club. Throughout this video, I made sure to mention men as well as women because men can be victims too. Please don't think that little boys aren't being forced to have sex just as much as girls. You have the power to do something about trafficking in the United States and globally. Donate to organizations that are helping victims of human trafficking, or donate your time and volunteer. There are a lot of organizations who provide homes, educational programs, and job opportunities for victims who are rescued or who escape from their pimp. There are tons of nonprofits whose mission is to rescue people who are being forced to have sex for money. These organizations are also comprised of passionate advocates working to change legislation and force government to properly rehabilitate victims being sexually exploited instead of incarcerating them. Survivors of sex trafficking need support, not life sentences. There are two specific organizations I personally know are doing great things to help survivors. One organization is Sisters of the Streets, which was founded by Jamie Johnson, an advocate who supports and fights for victims being sexually exploited and who has also been a keynote speaker for multiple anti-trafficking events across the country. Jamie has successfully helped a multitude of women escape their pimps and the street life. She's provided women with the resources needed to start over and rebuild again. Sisters of the Streets' mission is to foster hope, love, and freedom from domestic sex trafficking and the adult entertainment industry through restorative practices and empowerment through life skills. Sisters of the Streets host monthly outreach programs, literally in the streets of various cities, called the Purse Project. The outreach program is geared towards the women who are exploited on the tracks, which are areas known for solicitation. Sisters of the Streets accepts generous donations of items such as feminine hygiene products, makeup, body wash, condoms, journals, and pens to pack into gently used or new purses. The purses also include motivational letters and positive affirmations. These purses are personally distributed to women in the streets of San Diego, California, Los Angeles, California, San Bernardino, California, and Orange County, California. Another organization is For Sarah, which is a nonprofit based in Atlanta, Georgia. For Sarah is a faith-based nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower change in the life direction of women and girls who are adult entertainers, prostitutes, escorts, porn stars, or victims of sex trafficking by offering a holistic approach as well as an educational, emotional, physical, and spiritual support. With the support of our communities and churches, For Sarah will be able to provide a system of care to women and girls seeking to exit a life in the adult entertainment industry. They also offer outreach, intervention, and scholarship programs. Additionally, they provide a short-term, safe and healthy living environment for adult women, pregnant women, and/or women with children seeking to exit the sex industry. These two organizations, as well as several others throughout the world, are providing support for survivors, raising awareness, and working toward ending sexual exploitation, but they cannot flourish without donations and support. That's how you can help. It's not easy, but it is possible to end human trafficking. Links to Sisters of the Streets and Forcera's websites are listed in the caption or description box if you're watching this on YouTube. Links for other organizations who are also fighting against trafficking are listed as well.